time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
On a Wednesday, it's so good to have you with us all across America and Canada. Don't forget about you, Canada. We got a lot to do over the next 60 minutes. A lot of football on the show today. Nick Ferguson will be here, former NFL safety. Denver Broncos, Jets and Bills. He'll hang out with us for a couple of segments and talk some football. Pick his brain a little bit, pick his football brain. There's news to get to from baseball. Deion Sanders is attacking the media again, and a whole bunch more. But we start things out in the NFL, and Sam Yarnell is here. Jalen Carter has learned his fate, Sam, and that fate is a time served plus fine, basically, the NFL decided. For spitting on Dak Prescott. He gets the time served. The NFL says you just get the game that you already missed and a fine from the league. Now, why would they not want to punish him for more than that? Oh, because they're playing the Chiefs this week. So they don't want to punish him for anything more than that because you want to have all the best players on the field for that Super Bowl rematch between those two teams. It sets a new precedent, Sam, that we could certainly say that the league is setting a new precedent by basically saying you spit on a guy, you're going to get, one game and a fine. There you go.
Yeah, this, it still feels like Jalen Carter's on thin ice. So there's so many thoughts. It is weird that, they say that the time served thing applies here, and yeah, them playing the Chiefs probably has something to do with it because they do want him involved in that game, I could imagine. But listen, the Jalen Carter thing is far from over. I'll stand by what I said when we first talked about this happening on Friday, which is it's going to be hard for this guy to get a meaningful second contract in the NFL. And I only say that because of things that I learned over the weekend, which are apparently Jalen Carter has a propensity to show, not necessarily in public, that his actions as they've been, how do I put this nicely, supposed by many people, may be much closer to the truth. It has come to my attention that there may be multiple instances that the Philadelphia Eagles have dealt with in-house of Jalen Carter acting amiss, we'll say. So it just seems like he is one who is not long for the NFL because, again, in college football, you can get away with a lot of stuff like this on sheer talent. And I think Jalen Carter is learning very quickly that is not the case in the NFL. And there have been plenty of people that have come before him who have treaded down a similar line, and unfortunately it shortens their careers exponentially. I'm very worried that we've reached the same impasse with Jalen Carter.
I got to tell you, you've seen it as much as I have. Lots of guys get second and third and fourth chances even in this league, though. A lot of guys, and in the case of Jalen Carter, he got a second chance before he even got into the league. So to me, I don't necessarily buy into the idea that, for Jalen Carter, the league stands for not for long, because I think ultimately there will always be, Sam, there's always going to be one, all it takes is one owner. All it takes is one owner that is desperate enough to win in a league that is year to year. All it takes is one owner that is desperate enough to win that says, I'll sign Deshaun Watson even though ... And I'll give him the biggest quarterback contract on the planet even though we know he did ... I just think there's always going to be somebody out there. Jerry Jones. I just think there's always going to be somebody out there. If you told Jerry Jones tomorrow that Jalen Carter had been released for, I don't know, spitting, on players or stepping on somebody's head or doing something, just doing something untoward, whatever it may be. And I'm not saying he stepped on anybody's head. I'm just throwing out an example of something heinous. You're telling me Jerry Jones wouldn't find a way to sign Jalen Carter? Of course he would. There's always going to be somebody.
Jalen Carter is, and that's like kind of my point here. I think Jalen Carter's in this different category of guys where you see them not get a second chance because of how they act. Like the guy who the Raiders just released, right? A couple of weeks ago, because of that whole thing that everybody still doesn't really know what happened because they kept that all under the rug. And I'll turn the clock back a little on this one, but like Ndamukong Suh, this is Ndamukong Suh all over again.
But he did get other opportunities. Suh he played with the Texans.
But he never got a meaningful second contract, and he bounced around from the Texans to the Dolphins to somewhere else too. Like he was a guy who could never find a long-term home after that first contract from that high draft pick with the Lions ran out. And to me, this is that same kind of thing. It's a guy who, like Ndamukong Suh, had notable examples in college of not being able to control his emotions or his actions, both on and off the field. You saw like very, very, very small flashes of it through Ndamukong Suh's first years as a Raider, or as a Lion, But then as he moved on to Houston and Miami, you really saw it start to come out. I fear that we're going down the same path with Jalen Carter.
In the last minute or so here, did the NFL get it right, though? Is this the right precedent to set? Is this the rule that we're now going to put in for spitting on guys? And is that enough? Because I don't know if it is.
Maybe I'm naive, but I'd like to think that spitting on guys is not something that's going to become frequent enough for us have to worry about this. Like, I don't think when they made this decision, the NFL was like, all right, listen up, guys. This is going to become a new trend now. So we got to figure out what we punish this guy with, because 6 more of them are coming next week.
Well, I don't even know. I don't even know if it's necessarily the idea of spit that it has to be spitting on a player, because what the league was trying to say on this, Sam, was that, you know, it's setting the precedent of if you do something that brings, you know, of ill repute, that sort of thing. I don't even think it's necessarily spitting, but something that if it is this sort of egregious, this is how we're going to treat it.
Yeah, but you see guys get like suspended multiple games for fights and stuff still. So I think that there's precedent for other like on-field misconduct that excludes spitting. And again, maybe I'm naive, but I want to believe that this was just a once in a million kind of thing, because it was kind of disgusting.
Yeah, bodily fluids.
Yeah, right.
As my old buddy Jack Silver used to say, it's never good to talk about bodily fluids. All right, we're done with it. Well, until we talk to Nick Ferguson next. Welcome back to this Wednesday edition of the show. NFL season in full swing now. We are through week 1. Getting ready to talk a bit about week 2. We thought, who better to bring in than this guy? I mean, he's the only one that answers my calls on occasion. Nick Ferguson is here, former NFL safety, former Denver Bronco, Denver sports radio host. And hangs out with us on the show. I have to calm myself down. We were having an off-air conversation that got very animated. Nick Ferguson, Jalen Carter's suspension, 1 game. We just talked about it in the opening segment of the show. Do you agree with the way the NFL has handled this? Basically a time served sort of penalty, the fine, everything that comes with it.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know how you and Sam feel about it, but the way that I initially looked at it, it was like, wow, why would Jalen Carter do something so egregious and silly right before the game? That has to be the quickest exit from any NFL game that I had ever seen. And then when I saw the additional footage that we were not shown at the very beginning to see how things escalated to that point, when we saw Dak Prescott spit on the ground, as it was told, in the direction, and then he advanced towards Jalen Carter to only escalate the situation. Now, I'm not trying to remove the responsibility from Jalen Carter. You're a grown man. You shouldn't do that. It's the first game of the season. Be a little smarter than that. But Dak Prescott played the antagonist in that position because he spat in his direction, albeit on the ground. Now, if you know anyone from the hood, they would tell you when someone spits in your direction on the ground, that guess what that means? That's go time.
Oh, is it? Is that go? See, I'm sorry, I didn't grow up in the hood.
Yeah.
I lived a sheltered life in East Haven, Connecticut, where we had like 2 black kids in the entire school. That was it. I mean, I lived a very sheltered life. Randy Roach, we love you, by the way. Yeah. So you can tell me what hood life and hood code is, because I have no idea.
Yeah, that was go time, right? Then you spit in someone's direction, and then you approach them.
Hood code.
Right? Once again, I'm not condoning what Jalen Carter did, but that's what I saw from afar. I don't know what Carter's kind of explanation to his team in the NFL about what happened, but time served. He didn't play in the game, right?
Yeah.
He was ejected.
Right.
So I agree with it.
All right, Sam, hood code. You got hood code, Sam? You know hood code? Growing up in the DMV?
Maybe it's just because I grew up in a little bit more of an urban area. But if you do that, it's 100. Yeah, it's time to go.
I'd be if I were in jail for 3 days, I'd be dead. I wouldn't survive.
I'll put it to really quickly. I'll put it to you, JP, like this. You bowl, right?
Yes.
Your opponent looks across the lane and spits down on the ground. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it's on. It's on like Donkey Kong. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's on, man.
Sam?
Nick, who's the biggest, we're talking about this and Dak Prescott being an instigator and Jalen Carter, for lack of a better term, being a little bit of a hothead in that moment. Who's the biggest instigator and who's the biggest hothead that you can remember playing with?
Wow. Biggest... well, you know what? There wasn't any guys that I played with personally who...
Come on, really? All those years? You didn't play with any hotheads?
I mean, once again, our section of football, our era was a little different. I mean, it was trash talk.
Right.
With that being said, who could it be? What's the guy who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Edge rusher.
Rodney Harrison?
No. His son now plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. His name eludes me right now.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. He played at UConn.
Yes, he was an outside pass rusher. But anyway, there were some guys like Steve Smith, right? That dude, he ran hot all the time, and he yap, almost like a little chihuahua or something. And he had something to prove, right? So he was definitely one of those guys who talked a lot.
I don't think we can move to other games now, because as much as it's fun to talk about Jalen Carter for half the show, we probably shouldn't.
Hood code.
Nick, out in your neck of the woods, obviously the Broncos get a big win in week 1 over Cam Ward in his debut regular season game. But Bo Nix didn't look great. What were your main takeaways from the Broncos quarterback after what wasn't a great showing in week 1?
Yeah, Bo didn't look great, and the expectations here in Denver have been elevated, not so much by the local media, but some of individuals in the national media that kind of elevated. And being as though I played here during those years under Pat Bowlen and Mike Shanahan, to me, you have to embrace that kind of pressure. But in Sunday's game, man, it just didn't look right. It just looked like the chemistry wasn't there. And I know that sounds crazy to say because Bo is going into his sophomore season. And I was thinking, okay, well, you're in your second year in the system. Things should be much better. Now, I'm not jumping off of a cliff based on what I saw. To me, the biggest issue was Bo's feet. And if you watch any quarterback on any level, man, you need to set your feet, square yourself to the pocket. You can't throw on your back foot. And the first thing when I thought about when I saw it, it reminded me of Jay Cutler, a guy I played with, because he was said to have had a strong arm like a John Elway, but he never really set his feet. He relied too heavily on his arms to kind of muscle the ball down the field. And that's kind of what I saw with Bo. Are these things all correctable? Yes. But when there's so much hype built up about what's going to happen in his second year, and there was talks about the Broncos going to the Super Bowl, that only elevated things to a point, almost like what Arch Manning faced, going against Ohio State. The hype was so big, it's just like, well, he just fell off the cliff. What happened? I thought everyone said that he was this guy. The same thing happened with Bo But once again, I'm not in panic mode. I want to see how things happen in week 2. If we see the similar things in week 2 and they haven't improved, then it may be cause of concern.
Yeah, I would think correcting mechanics mid-season is difficult. And I bring up the example of Coco Gauff at the U.S. Open, who's trying to redo her entire serve in the middle of a Grand Slam against the best players in the world. And I'm sitting there watching this going, how are you doing this in the middle of a tournament? I would think in the middle of the season, if it is something mechanical, it would be difficult to fix, Nick. 30 seconds left in the segment. Go ahead.
Well, to me, that's what being a professional athlete is about. You have to be able to make in-game adjustments. We say the same thing.
Yeah, but when people panic, they revert back to their old mechanic. That's why I think it would be difficult to do mid-season.
But you have to try. You have to try to break tendencies. And you're right. All of us have things that we fall back on, a crutch, if you will. When things start to go wrong, we do that with those same things over again.
All right, Nick Ferguson's going to hang with us for another segment. We got more NFL to talk about with him. How do the Ravens bounce back from the loss on Sunday night? We'll talk about it next. We're bouncing around the NFL with Nick Ferguson, the former NFL safety, KOA Radio Denver sports radio host, or sports talk host. It's not a sports radio station per se, right, Nick? So I want to make sure I get it right. I don't want our friends at iHeart, correcting me or anything. Just straight face. That's it. I get nothing. That's what I get.
I wanted you to think that the screen had frozen.
Yeah,
for
thank you. I appreciate that. Give me another extra hour of post-production today. That's what I need. You've been on plenty of teams. You've probably suffered more than your fair share of awful losses. What is it like the day after and the days after a loss like that for the Ravens in week 1?
Your players are just kind of second guessing themselves. Kind of, what could I have done better? Could I block better? Could I have run the ball? But the one guy that was definitely kind of beating himself up is Derrick Henry. I mean, he was having a great day against Buffalo. Sorry about that, Sam.
No, he was. I came on this show and said it on Monday.
He did.
Yeah, he was running roughshod over them, and they could not stop them. I don't care if they were in cover 3, cover 2. They just could not do a great job. And for him to fumble that ball in that moment, that was really big. So he's thinking about that. But also, what about the field goal kicker? Had he made that extra point, Buffalo would have had to come down the field and score an actual touchdown and not kick a field goal to kind of take home that win. And then Coach Harbaugh. I mean, obviously, he's not going to spend too much time thinking about it, but you got to think that it was on his mind. How many double-digit losses has he had in his tenure? That's kind of a problem. And then the question becomes, can we finish as a team, right? And now everything comes into question. Can we finish? Can we finish? But here's the great thing about it. That was just week 1. They played against a great opponent. Now you move on to week 2, and you have the Cleveland Browns. I mean, the football gods set you up perfectly. You play the Bills game 1, and then you have another opportunity to get in the win column by playing Joe Flacco and the Cleveland Browns.
Nick, there was a very interesting phenomenon in the opening game of the NFL with Matt Eberflus and Brian Schottenheimer and what they did with that Cowboys defense. I want to get to that in a second. Real quick, last thing on the Broncos. In game 1, obviously, we saw J.K. Dobbins get the majority of the workload, the vast majority of it. R.J. Harvey had like 6 carries, but ended up having more yards than J.K. Dobbins. What's your outlook on that backfield going forward? Are we going to see more of R.J. Harvey, or did people who invested in him in fantasy, like me, need to be worried that he might not be getting the ball a lot?
Well, this is going to be a running back by committee, Sam, and I wish you had talked to me before you did that, because I would have told you, the one thing about Sean Payton, he rotates a lot of personnel groupings, right? And he's always changing backs. Let's just say R.J. Harvey gets the start against the Colts. He may have 3 good runs, and then Sean takes him out, right? So it's hard for running backs to somewhat get into a rhythm, because think about it. Those 2 guys you spoke about, they didn't hit their big chunk runs until the 4th quarter. So you say, well, it's 3 of the quarters that you could have utilized their skill set, but it didn't happen. So you may want to take that in consideration moving forward, that Sean rotates backs a lot. So it's going to be hard for those guys to get into somewhat of a rhythm.
Talk Talk about the AFC West, with what we saw in week 1 with the Chargers beating the Chiefs, and a lot of people already questioning after 1 week, which is just insane because they lost a game in Brazil a million miles away, that everybody's going crazy about, what is or what isn't with this Kansas City Chiefs team. I mean, as a guy who's probably got a bit more of a measured approach, as somebody who's played the game, is there a bit of overreaction after week 1 on the Chiefs?
No, there's always overreaction, but there is still some truth in everything you say, even in a joke. So looking at Kansas City, they didn't look the same, right? Remember the last time we saw them in the regular season game, they were losing to the Philadelphia Eagles. They came back and scored some points to make it look good, but they got dominated in that game. And what the Chargers did, like slowly, methodically making great decisions, and then they had better quarterback play. Let's be totally honest. I mean, Justin Herbert, really leaned on his ability to kind of extend plays in the pocket. And Kansas City, they had some wide receivers that got injured. Look, no Rashid Rice for maybe about 5 more games, and then Xavier Worthy gets injured in the game. They were searching for receivers to throw the ball to down the field, and that's going to be a problem. And that's why a lot of teams spent a lot of their offseason in their draft trying to build their defense because they know that they're going to have to play against Kansas City. If you're Josh Allen and you played against the Baltimore Ravens the way you did, your defense gave up 40 points, but you're looking at the game against Kansas City and the Chargers and going like, you know what? This might be the year. This might be the year. So Kansas City doesn't look as strong and as dominant. And I know it's only week 1 and everyone's like, don't panic. It's only week 1. But wait a minute. There's certain glaring things we saw about so many teams across the league that we can't overlook.
Yeah, they get the benefit of the doubt from me being what they've accomplished. I'm not panicking after week 1. Go ahead, Sam.
Nick, in the last 2 minutes we have, back to that opening game of the season and this Cowboys defense that everybody was freaking out about after the Micah Parsons trade. They come out and they played the entire game against the defending world champions and their all-pro running back and don't run a single snap in man coverage. Every single defensive snap of that game for the Cowboys, they ran in zone coverage. What do you make of this new look Cowboys defense and them being the only team in the league, I think in the last 5 years since they started tracking this, that's gone an entire game without using man coverage once?
Well, the one thing about using man coverage, you take vision away from certain defensive players. And they knew how talented Saquon Barkley is as a running back. You want to make sure all 11 guys have eyes on him to make sure that you contain him, because here's their thought process. Stop Saquon, you stop the Eagles offense. And that you saw a little of it because A.J. Brown wasn't really involved. Dallas Goedert wasn't really involved. Devontae Smith wasn't really involved. And when you look at that fourth quarter, the Philly only scored like maybe 3 points. So in Jerry's mind, Micah Parsons, right? You got Kenny Clark. We need to stop the run because remember, that's what Jerry told us, right? He was letting Parsons go to the Packers because Kenny Clark was going to save us and get us back to the Super Bowl. So in Jerry's mind, he accomplished what he set out to accomplish. How long will the Cowboys be able to do this? It's not going to be, you can't do it for a long period of time because at some point you're going to have to play man coverage and show that you can get after the quarterback.
Nick Ferguson, ladies and gentlemen, catch him on KOA Radio in Denver. Does a great job there, talking all things Denver sports. Does an even better job with us, though.
Yeah,
talking
that was
about
a great answer.
Talking about all things football. See,
thank
look
you.
at that. Wow, you guys, you need a room?
Well,
You want me to step away? You guys
no,
can.
you good?
Okay,
I
just
thought
checking.
at some point you were going to ask me about Coach Prime, but I guess we don't have enough time.
We'll save that for the bonus segment on YouTube. We're coming back. Welcome back. The night in Major League Baseball coming up in 10 minutes. I picked the wrong night to watch Major League Baseball in my MetaQuest goggles. Watched the Yankees and Tigers in the meta universe, Sam. Boy, did I pick the wrong night. That was not pleasant. It was not a fun night to be in the meta Yankee Stadium universe. Why are you laughing at me? That's what I was doing.
That's just such a 20-25 sentence, man.
I was. It was. By the way, can I just say this? not to go far afield, but I will. If you have the MLB app with Meta Quest, like if you're somebody that loves sports, I can't speak to what other sports look like in the Meta goggles because the only one I've watched is baseball. Out of this world. I mean, just simply out of this world. Watching baseball inside these things, like the information, the data, it's fantastic. Even when the Yankees are getting blitzed by the Tigers because their bullpen implodes. Sam Yarnell, let's talk about Deion Sanders, who lashes out at the media again. His Colorado Buffaloes are 1-1. Lost to Georgia Tech. Then they beat up on the Sisters of the Poor in Delaware. No offense to our friends watching in Delaware on Masson. But an interesting question came up regarding the quarterback situation at Colorado, and maybe a change coming there as far as the starter is concerned. Pete Thamel had the reporting on it. And that's not who starts for them isn't all that important. They're going to suck this year anyway. As they basically have under Deion throughout the entire time he's been there. And don't tell me about 9 wins last year because they haven't beaten anybody since he got there. But this is Deion yesterday responding to a question about Pete Thamel's reporting from ESPN. Take a listen or a watch.
In today's media, we don't care about being correct anymore. We just want to be first. And there's no subjection to you when you're wrong. Nobody says nothing. You just go with it. I'm not saying that's the case, but that's where we are in media. Nobody gives a darn about being correct and being right. Everybody just want to be first. That don't make no sense to me. I would love the integrity that we once had with media. I would love that.
Sam, Deion taking on the media. I'm going to just say this. Deion, I don't care what you think about the media. You know what you get paid to do? Win football games, Sam. He's 13-12 as the head coach of this team. He hasn't beaten a ranked opponent worth a damn. He got destroyed in the Alamo Bowl last year. He's going to be under 500 again this year. He'll probably be under 500 when his career ends at Colorado, which will probably be after this year when they give him some ceremonious send-off because of his health. And we only wish the best for him when it comes to his health. But as a football coach, I'm sorry, he's just not that good of a football coach. That's what this boils down to. This is a smoke screen. It's just Deion, trying to change the conversation.
Am I the only person on earth who listens to this? And I must be. I am the only person on earth, I am now saying this definitively, who listens to this and remembers that we are less than 4 years removed from Deion Sanders being a member of the media.
Mm-hmm.
Deion Sanders started an entire show around how he was going back to be a college football coach at some little HBCU, Jackson State, and how he's going to build that program up. And there was a whole media company that funded it. And he went on programs for that media company regularly to talk about college football and football in general. Like, this is so beyond the pale in terms of hypocritical. So like, yeah, dude, whatever he wants to say, go ahead, put the cowboy hat on, put the big sunglasses on. You got 0 sons in the NFL. And you have one son who you forced a school to retire his jersey before he barely made the practice squad for the Cleveland Browns. That's almost hard to do. Yeah, I don't care. It's so done. It's been so done. Like, maybe the thing on this show that I've never been more right about is how much of a bust that whole family was.
Well, I mean, Deion's a Hall of Famer, so I mean, not the entire family.
In terms of coaching, absolute bust in terms of coaching.
I agree. Nobody wants to say because everybody wants to be his friend. See, I don't have to worry about that because he's not going to be my friend anyway. So I don't care. But somebody's got to be honest enough to call this out for what it is. It's just changing the subject from the fact that you're already changing quarterbacks a couple of games into the season when it's your job to figure out who's the right guy to start from week 1. That's your job. And Pete Thamel, who is one of the most credible reporters out there, has been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
Long time. I know, because I was talking to him a long time ago when he wasn't too big to talk to me like he is now. I still love Pete, though. He does great work. But, I mean, this team, by the end of his run here, we're talking about a guy that's going to have 17, 18 wins, 19 or 20 losses. They're probably not going to a bowl game this year. And the good times are gone. Colorado brought him in to fix this program, not bring it back to a point where it's a 500 team. And again, don't give me 9 wins last year, because I'll give you 9 cupcakes that they basically beat every week of the season. And they barely beat North Dakota State. I'm sorry. We got to call it what it is. As a head coach so far, failure. Because he's going to leave Colorado a little better off than it was when he got there. A little better off. But not much.
He's the football Doug Gottlieb.
All right, we'll wrap it up with odds and ends 10 minutes from now. If you miss anything from the show, by the way, the YouTube channel is the place to go. The SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, go and do so. It's growing quickly. Great content from the show, sometimes content not from the show. Sometimes conversations go long, like the one with Nick Ferguson. We put up the bonus content there. Sam Yarnell, let's talk. Well, of course we're going to talk about baseball. It's September already. It's September 10th, no less. Of course we're going to talk about baseball. By the way, I'm super ADD today, I have to admit. Can I also say this? My local casino, I'm not going to say the name, that I spend a lot of money with. You know what their giveaway today is? You know what their giveaway is? A cooler with a 6-pack of Bud Light.
It's a great giveaway.
No, I'm not a beer drinker.
Neither am I, but the cooler sounds
but it's not
great.
like a cooler.
It's free?
I'm just saying, come on. Is that what we've gotten to? Maybe Vegas is in trouble. Because everybody says Vegas is in trouble right now.
Yes.
That's what the answer is yes. Sam Yarnell, let's talk baseball. And get into, I was subjected.
Let's talk the hottest team in baseball, the Washington Nationals, baby.
Do they have the 3rd worst record or 4th worst record? Where are they right now?
Over the last week, over the last 10 games, they're 7-3. So who cares?
If only baseball seasons were decided in just a week. If it was a sprint. The Nationals are 60-84. By the way, they're going to go well under their win total. Preseason?
Not necessarily.
No? What was their preseason win total?
At the rate that they're winning games, they'll be over it by next week.
What
their win total was 70 and a half, 71 and a half.
Yeah. I guess we could officially call it a sweat. We could call it a sweat. By the way, if you're sweating out the Nationals win total, we have a phone number for you. Yankees had a golden opportunity last night. The Blue Jays were losing at the time, 3-1 late in that game to the Astros. And you're like, the Yankees are going to be 1 out. The Yankees are going to be 1 out on Wednesday. I'm going to be celebrating. And then the 7th inning or 6th inning happened in the Yankee game where they gave up 9 runs. The bullpen implodes. And then the Blue Jays come from behind and beat the Astros. And I turn around and I wake up on September 10th and the Yankees are 3 games behind the Blue Jays again. In the American League East. Still your top wild card team, though.
Yeah, this bullpen is so bad. Ugh. They're
the combination, bullpen. Sam, it's not just the bullpen. It's the combination of a bullpen that's struggling with a manager that doesn't know which buttons to push. And seriously, that's an apocalypse in baseball. If you have a manager that does not know the right decisions to make and a bad bullpen, it's 5 times as bad as just having a bad bullpen.
Yes. it really
Once
sucks
again, the
that
answer
Will
is
Warren
yes.
having yet another quality start is going to go completely unnoticed because the Yankees they lose by 10 in this game, which is hilarious. Your pitcher has a quality start and you lose a game by 10 runs. That's hard to do. Even in baseball, where a lot of things happen, that's pretty hard to do. It's pretty hard to have two relievers come in, neither of whom recorded an out, both of whom gave up 4 or more earned runs. That's pretty hard to do. And yeah, it goes to your point about pushing the wrong buttons. It is, you're almost at a loss for words. Like,
Yeah.
all of the power that this team has, all of the, pedigree that people want to say that they have, and then this is the performance that they go out and put on a baseball field on September 9th when they're fighting in the division race.
Aaron Judge, another home run, by the way.
Oh my gosh. And he's going to win the MVP. And that's the most upsetting part about all this, is that he is clearly and obviously going to win the MVP.
If you have a chance, though, watch the at-bat where he hits the home run. It is a masterclass in how to work a count into your favor to get the pitch you want to hit a home run off of Casey Mize. By the way, can we just say, hats off to Kyle Schwarber. 50 home runs, 50 burger for him in the home run column. And frankly, I was looking at his contract. That dude makes, I think, under $20 million a year, which in baseball, he's a bargain for what he's given that franchise, Sam.
And he's going to get paid this offseason. And he knows
him and Trent Grisham.
Yeah, no kidding. And I don't think you could have given me any two combinations of names, but Trent Grisham and Kyle Schwarber being the marquee free agents of any free agent class is very interesting.
Oh, God, I almost knocked my microphone off. Gleyber Torres is a free agent in this offseason, too. Just wanted to throw that in there. Your Mets bet's looking good, by the way. If you tailed Sam a couple of days ago when he said, take the Mets to miss the playoffs, you're getting positive cash payouts right now from the books because the Mets just continue to falter. They've lost 4 in a row. They lose last night again to the Phillies, who are just, trying to figure out how to get through the season with some of the injuries that they're dealing with and doing so. And now the Mets just 2 games ahead of the Giants, who have won 2 straight in 7 of 10 after a lengthy winning streak prior to that. I don't know, man. The Giants might sneak into the playoffs here, Sam. I'm starting to buy in.
Yeah. Oh, wow. The New York Mets in August and September baseball don't go together. I wonder who could have seen this coming. Oh, wait. Everybody literally who's ever watched baseball a day in their life. Yeah, the Giants are red hot, man. And it is, I know it was a late game last night against the Diamondbacks.
Not for me.
What in and of itself has turned into a pretty good race between those two teams. That was a banger we got last night out west.
Yep. Not a late game for me. That's why I love living on the West Coast. West Coast, best coast, baby. Can I tell you what time I went to bed last night, by the way? 8:50. You know why? All the games were over. I love my life. Anything I cared about was done by 9 o'clock. I was asleep. Snoring away. The dog next to me. Sam will see you tomorrow. Odds and ends are next. All right, just about time to say goodbye on this Wednesday edition of Sports Wrap. Tomorrow is Thursday. That means our good friend David Ardsma will be here. We'll have a in-depth conversation about the world of baseball with him. Who knows? Maybe some other surprises. You'll just have to tune in and find out. A couple of reminders. If you have not done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Amazon, Odyssey, anywhere. Prime, Amazon has it. Make sure to go and subscribe to that today. It is fantastic. It is this show in its audio form, commercial-free, 45 minutes every day. What are you waiting for? Go and check it out. In addition to being on almost 300 affiliates around the U.S. and Canada, you can watch Sports Wrap with Jason Page on Spotify. In addition, you could also watch it on our Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. Now, I got to tell you, we've put a lot of work into making this channel something really cool for fans of the show. We have the show there commercial-free every day. That's first of all. Then we have Sports Wrap Shorts. Virtually every day, there is news breaking. And whenever there is, we are live. Well, not live, but we're on SportsWrap's YouTube channel, the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel, with instant reaction to top stories. When big games finish, go there. We'll have comments and reaction. It's the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. SportsWrap shorts are there as well. The audio podcast is there. Just go. Sometimes clips from the show. Sometimes we have clips that are not from the show. We had our friend Nick Ferguson on today. That conversation ran another 6 or 7 minutes than what you saw. So what do? We put it on the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. Go and check it out. All right, without any further delay, ladies and gentlemen, before I lose my voice, because it feels like I am, it's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends. It might be the end of the season for the WNBA's Golden State Valkyries, but not before they put forth a hell of an effort this season in what they did and what they have done, in trying to make the playoffs. Just fantastic. 23-20 in their opening season for the Golden State Valkyries. I mean, I don't know how you can be more impressed with a team than you are with what Golden State has done this year. Very impressive for an expansion franchise in this league. And the one thing it points out to me is the level of talent in the WNBA continues to get better. That there's enough talent that you could spread around to all these teams. Now, they're going to expand by a couple more teams, and we're going to find out if the talent base in women's basketball is as big as they think it is, because as you have more expansion teams come in, you run the risk of, obviously, those teams struggling and having, doormats in the league, that sort of thing. I give all the credit in the world, though, to what the Golden State Valkyries have done in getting themselves, into a position here, to be a successful franchise in year one. They are the model for future WNBA teams. We've seen it in hockey, but, in the NBA, you get an expansion team, they tend to struggle. You get expansion teams in baseball, they tend to struggle. Expansion teams in football, outside of maybe the Jaguars is one I could think of, they tend to struggle early on. Not the case when you talk about the WNBA and what Golden State managed to accomplish this year. Odds and ends, more basketball, and it's not good news for Malik Beasley. Just when you thought it was safe to, resume your NBA career. Now the NBA is conducting its own investigation into gambling allegations against Malik Beasley. First, you had a federal probe that went on this offseason, and the free agent guard was basically absolved of any wrongdoing in that probe. So we started to talk about, hey, now it's time for a team to sign Malik Beasley. Again, no matter what you think of the stories that have emerged about Malik Beasley and his mismanagement of money and the fact that he owes this person money and those people money, no matter what you might think, the guy deserves an opportunity to resume his NBA career, even if he's going to blow all the money he makes from that career. He deserves an opportunity. And now you have to wonder if anybody's going to sign him when the NBA is investigating allegations on NBA games and prop bets from the 2023-24 season when Beasley was with the Bucks. Beasley's attorney told ESPN his client is fully cooperating with the NBA investigation. David Perdue, by the way, had the story over on ESPN. So, again, he had been cleared of any wrongdoing. And again, now this story is being reported, and you have a guy's livelihood that's at risk. And you can't help but wonder, how many more times are we going to have to see this? And look, maybe the NBA's investigation uncovers something more than what the feds did. But again, say that out loud, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. This idea that somehow the NBA's investigators are going to uncover something more than what federal investigators were able to uncover. It's kind of weird to me. But maybe the NBA has different avenues, different things they can look for that the feds weren't looking for. And maybe they find something, which I even hate to say because it makes it sound like I'm saying Malik Beasley did something wrong and I'm contributing to the very thing that's keeping him from getting signed by another NBA team. But ultimately, how many more times are we going to see these sorts of allegations and investigations pop up where you have the feds or the NBA or different sports leagues investigating players and damaging their stock around the league because some prop bets went haywire and you think they have to be involved in it? I hate to sound like Sam Yarnell because this is what he would say, but it's not very fair to the players that this happens to, and then they're cleared, and their reputation's been tarnished, and it's hard to get a job. That's all I got to say about that. It's going to put a wrap on this Wednesday edition of the show. Thank you to Sam Yarnell. Thanks to Nick Ferguson for hanging out. Thanks to you for watching. I'm Jason Page. We'll see you back here on Thursday for another edition of Sports Wrap. Have yourselves a great one.